Okay, I think that'll work. The vertical didn't quite work out. I don't know why. Um, oh, sweet. Okay, this is better. Yeah, I put it into horizontal mode, but the angle of the camera on the tripod here, I didn't actually rotate the actual iPhone to horizontal before I hit live. So okay. All right. So first of all, thanks for joining. Thanks for watching. Sorry about the little confusion there at the beginning, but I got this orientated properly now. So I have this 4600. I'm going to try and do a live rebuild on. It needs everything. Hasn't been touched. Cap kits, reflows. Nothing's been done. It came out of a Gorf, I believe. At least the picture tube is definitely out of a Gorf. There's screen burn on it and everything. So I thought, okay, it might be fun to try and do a live thing. I'm not set up for that. All I have is an iPhone. I don't have a streaming setup. I don't have OBS. This is just live through YouTube. So again, this is the amateur channel. That's why I'm not set up for that. So I thought, well, let's just do it live, see if anybody wants to watch and anything. I'll try and do this while I'm standing up here so I can at least read some comments if some comments come through. So I'll just stand up here and do it. It's only like, what, 15 caps, ain't a big deal. So yeah, it does work and operate with no issues. It is a little bowed on this size because of pincushion, but that's probably just bad caps. So, but it does operate and work with no issues. It just needs rebuilt. And this is going to go in a Gorf, like I say, from a guy in Kansas City brought this down to me and said, hey, would you rebuild this? I said, sure, no problem. So, okay, I guess what we'll do here is we'll go ahead and start by, on the 4600, it has the two interface cards here for deflection and video. You take this little black piece and you squeeze the ends, and it just lifts off in from this retainer here. And I'll squeeze the other ends, and it just comes off like that. And I lost a little old zip tie, but that's okay. So now we can remove our deflection board. Give it a look over. There appears to be, oh, wait a minute. So, oh, that's interesting. How could this have been working if there's 3 caps missing? This worked without issue. It was just kind of bowed on the sides. But I just pulled this out. So the person that brought this to me brought me some extra cards here. There's 3 extra cards. And I'm not sure, because this worked just fine without even using these other ones. I wonder if my pincushion issue is these caps being out. But how in the world did this work with these missing caps? There's 1, 2, 3 missing caps. I'm not sure how it's even possible for this to have possibly worked with those missing caps, but it did. I had a picture. It was solid, no issues. I did have to adjust the oscillator here a little bit for the horizontal, but that's mystifying. Well, I guess we're not going to worry too much about it. But yeah, I have 3 other cars here to try out. So then we'll take, I'll do that off camera. That's no big deal. Then we have our video interface board here. Now, this is one of the later ones. See, now these have been capped. Maybe somebody took these caps out with the expectation to put new ones in and never got around to it and forgot. I don't know. I'm mystified. New one for me. Anyway, so this is one of the newer interface boards that has the black level and the horizontal center on the board. The older ones have the black level on the back side, and there is no horizontal center or something like that. There's different versions of these. There's a handful of different versions and stuff. So no big deal there. So when it comes down to this, we're going to pull off the power supply here, and you can lift the little black retainer piece there and the little white retainer piece here. And then this should just come off of here. Oh, nope, I lied. There is a little screw here you have to take off. And do I have a bit here small enough? Possibly. Yes, I do. All right. It is a 3/16. All right, so we got that out. Set that up there. Now this little power supply should just come right out. If that would stop getting caught. Oh, hang on. The factory puts this little zip tie here. And there we go. And now we have the little rectifier, not rectifier, I'm sorry, the regulator. I called it the power supply. The power supply is on the board. This is the regulator board and regulator circuit. That's what this is. And you adjust B plus right here, but I've never had to make an adjustment to B plus on a 4600 ever in my life. So, but there are two caps on here that have to be changed, and then you have to reflow the header pins on all these input interface cards and stuff. So we'll get to that. Now to remove this from the little metal frame here, it's a 1/4 inch bit that we have to loosen all these screws on. What am I doing that for? Okay. And I do want to say that if you leave a comment or have anything to say, I'm probably not going to read it because I can't, like I say, I'm not set up for a streaming thing here. So unless I'm actively looking at the phone while your comment comes through, I'm not going to be able to really read it or respond to it. And if so, I apologize. I'll try to respond to your comment once the video is uploaded. I'll go through and read the comments and I'll respond at that time. So you have the horizontal width coil here. There's a couple options you can have. You can just desolder the wires from the coil, and that's really the best option you have, because if you just try to remove this, you can take this, they glue this in place. There's a little retainer, metal retainer here that this goes in and just kind of grips it. And when you try to remove it from the retainer, you can break this brittle white plastic stuff. So it's in your best interest to go ahead and just desolder this. It's just a coil of wire, so the polarity of the wires doesn't matter one bit. So we're just going to desolder the wires off of this. Nice and easy. There you go. Now you can take your base plate and just set it out of the way. Our little metal piece here from our rectifier board. And we'll set this out of the way as well. Okay, now we can take these pieces here and they just slide off. There's our front one. And here's our back one. And now you can work without issue here. Yeah. Do we want to try and remove the flyback? Nah, it'd be all right. Probably a good idea to go ahead and just disconnect the connector here. Just kind of reseat this to kind of clean up any oxidation possibly on the header pins. So the flyback is not removable from the 4600 under normal circumstances without going through a whole headache of stuff, because it disconnects here, it disconnects from the ground point, hooks up to the neck board. It's removable, but it's not something that really is that easy to do. I guess maybe we could try it, but there's that connector. There is this connector. There's, maybe I'm confusing it with the neck board. Maybe it's the neck board that's not easy to take off. Yeah, I'm not sure. I can recall one of these being difficult to take off. And I just want to remove the flyback to make this easier to work on. And yeah, I mean, I guess that's all you have to do, except for desoldering the focus pin. Now, you don't have to do this. This is just something that I prefer doing in a lot of these I work on, because it makes it less cumbersome to flip over and flip over and flip over and things like that. I mean, if you only have one wire here to desolder, it's not that big of a deal to just take this apart. Of course, I say that, but they got this wrapped around here because they don't want it coming off. There we go. Okay, now the flyback should be loose. Hey, and there you go. We will set that out of the way. And we don't have to worry about it being in our way now, so. Okie dokie. Just make sure we don't have any blobs laying around. Nothing moves the blob. And with that, let's go ahead and give this a look over here. It's relatively clean. Not too bad. Little dust bunnies and stuff. Grab our brush. Just kind of brush some of this out. There's a little dent in this cap up here, but that's okay as long as it's not shorted, because you don't want the paper inside to short together. But like I say, this was operating with no issue. So, oh, this cap is bent over from the factory because otherwise the card won't sit down. That's interesting. Don't recall that being like that before. But yeah, even though this was working, let's just see what we get on a reading for this cap here. We'll go to ohms and just read what this shows here. Mega ohms. So okay, that's fine. You know, when you have a cap that's dented like this, you have to worry about the internal paper windings for the positive negative touching each other. You know, there's electrolyte in there that keeps them separated, but if you push it hard enough, it may touch them. So I don't think I have a spare one of these, but if it's not shorted, we're not going to worry too much about it. Let's take a look at the bottom side. All these bodges are factory. Don't got to worry about that. Now the bottom is a little bit dirtier than the top side. Better. And none of these header pins are cracked, but man, are they thin, super thin. Same thing up here on our regulator header pins. None of them are cracked. They're intact, because like I say, they worked, but man, they're awful thin. But we'll reflow them, no big deal. I don't see any burn marks or anything on the bottom, so we're good there. Let's take a look at the regulator board here. Yeah, it looks fine. No real big problems. You also want to reflow all of the, so even like on your interface cards, not just the header pins you want to reflow, you want to reflow the backside of your interface cards as well, also right here. And we'll get to that also. So yeah, I don't really see anything else. This isn't going to be too spectacular, just going to be a cap and a reflow. I'm going to wipe these color pots back and forth. The picture tube has some significant, well, what I would call somewhat significant Gorf burn-in. So I think the tube has had a long life. It took a while for it to come on, and it was a little bit too blue, so we'll put all the color pots to center. May do a rejuvenation in this video, I'm not sure. You also want to pay attention to your header pins here. You can kind of see how oxidized these header pins are here, so you want to clean those up. And I have my little fiberglass pen we'll do that with, and you want to do that on all of your pens. All your header pins need to be cleaned up if they have any oxidation on them at all. But most of the time it's I mean, this one here is real bad. Most of the time it's just the neck board and interface and stuff like that, but we'll get to that later. For now, let's start with our rectifier board. I'm gonna turn my fan on here. If it's louder vibrations, I'm sorry, but I don't want to breathe in all this solder fumes. So, all right. So we're gonna start with reflowing these joints here. Now again, technically, the technical term for reflow means that you remove the original solder and you flow new solder. So whenever you hear someone say reflowed, you know, if they're doing what I'm doing, okay, you can get by saying reflow. I mean, I do that. But technically speaking, reflowing is taking the old solder off, putting the new solder on. Is there anything else that needs reflowed? Nah, not really. That all looks okay. Let's go ahead and grab this cap. So there's a couple ways you can take these caps off. You can just kind of heat up one leg and then tilt the cap out and heat the other leg up and pull the cap out. Another way is you can just take a bunch of solder and just kind of flood the whole thing. And it should just, well, this one's not going to fall out because the legs are bent over. But if the legs are straight, you can take some solder and just flood both pads and the cap will literally just fall right out. What about this other one? No, they got the legs bent on this one too, so that won't work. I'll see if I could find one that we can show that method on, but for now, I'll just take them out that way. And I only use the desoldering braid to kind of just open up the hole after. It's immensely easier to just drop the cap out and then use the braid to open the hole up than it is to try and use the braid to remove the solder and then take the cap out. See, it's just immensely easier to just do that. All right. Not too much evidence of leakage on that. Okay, let's take a look at what we have here. And we have, we're looking for a 250 volt 10, which is probably going to be one of these here. And that was this one. Positive goes there. And then we have the other one is a 16 volt 22, which is going to be one of these smaller ones here. 50 volt 22, positive, negative. Okay. Let's get these puppies in here. And there's no caps that are backwards on the 4600 like there are on the G07 and whatnot. So you don't got to worry too much about that on this model. Okay, now I'm going to push the cap flat on the board while I heat that leg up and then do the other leg. I'm standing a little bit further away from this than I'd like because I'm trying to be able to at least see the camera and what's going out over the live airways. So I'm standing up the whole time I'm doing this, so it's a little bit awkward compared to how I'm used to doing it, but should be okay. And if you want to, after you cut these legs off, go through and do a little bit of touch up on the joint. Make sure that it looks okay for you. And don't do both of them quickly or your cap will fall out. Just do one, wait a second, then do the other. Because I have got a little overzealous with the reflow of those and cap fell right out. I'm like, oh, dang it. All right, so C503, let's just double check because I was talking, might have got distracted, but I think that's correct. 503 was 50 volt 22. So those are in the correct position, okay, and they're not oriented wrong. Positive on the left, positive on the top. Those are good, okay. That is all we have to do for our rectifier board. We're going to mark these just so the next person knows they've been changed if it wasn't obviously done. And that's about all we have to do for this. All right, so we're going to set that aside. Now we're going to get on the main board. I do want to mention here that there are two little selection jumpers. This is your horizontal position. This is your vertical position. The vertical position is the very far left is move the center vertical up. The second one that it's hooked up to right now is actually a center. The third one is down and the right is center. So 2 and 4 are the center position, and then 1 and 3 are up and down. So for instance, if you want to move the picture up, we either move this and put it over on 1. If you want to move it down, you move it to number 3. If you want to leave it just where it's at, 2 or 4 is the center position. So we want to clean those up because those are all kind of oxidized real bad too. Same thing with our horizontal position. They're all, you can see just how oxidized these are compared to the rest of these. So again, it's left, center, and right for your position. But we're going to leave those for now. We'll do all of our pin cleanup all at once later down the road. Our TH601 thermistor seems okay for our degauss connection. Everything else seems all right. So let's just start with this cap here. And okay, I'm going to show you the method here of, it should just fall right out on us. So if you add a little solder to each one of these and just kind of go back and forth, there, it just fell right out. I mean, see, that's literally all you have to do. So everyone makes a big deal about desoldering guns and procedures and stuff. It's just so easy if you just use a little common sense sometimes. But that's getting rarer by the day, if you ask me. So, and the holes opened up, and the holes opened up. And one thing you want to be aware of is you don't want to let too much of your braid out, because as it heats up and the solder gets liquefied, it can actually cause joints or bridges and stuff down the road if you're not paying attention. So always clip this off after it gets an inch or two out from you, and you don't got to worry about that. All right, so that doesn't show any signs of leakage. That is nice and dry. So we need a 470, which is probably this one. That's 47. Well, that's weird. There is no 470 here. I'm missing the 470. What does... Let's see, that is C623. What does the thing say? 623 says 35 volt 470. Okay, well that's because I was looking for a higher rating one. They are right here. There we go. I was looking for a higher rating one. Okay, positive to the right, negative to the left. There we go. Now, if you want to leave it like that, we can go through and do another cap and I like to do more than one at a time. So we're going to go ahead and get C624 out of here. That should fall out also. There it goes. 1 second, it's out. Clean those up. Okay. And let's take out this other one here. 619. That should fall out too. There it is. Easy as that. There we go. So we're looking now for 50 volt 1, which I think there's only one of those. 4.7, 22. There's two of them, 51. Okay. Oh, that one's leaking. See not sure if you can spot that right there, bottom of the cap. It's going to be hard to see, but so that one was leaking. Okay, it's dry on there, so it doesn't need to be cleaned up. Positive this way, negative that way, and I set the board down, which pushed this cap out. No big deal. This is a 25 volt 100, so we'll grab a 50 volt 100, which is only one of those, it looks like. There it is. And all right. Positive, negative. Prognosis negative. So let's tack those in here and go slow so they don't fall out. Success. And we'll hit this one. Push it flat on the board. Won't you flow, 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 pancreatic juice, flow, flow, into the duodenum. Won't you flow, 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 pancreatic juice, flow, flow, into the duodenum. No one's going to know where that song's from, but if you do, hey, props to you. Okay, those are in, and they're in the correct way, and they're flat on the board. Let's cut the legs off. And give them a look. Yep, look fine. Okie dokie. We will mark those. And okay, now we'll grab this one here, 622. And we'll just go back and forth here, and it should just, I had to pull it off because it was stuck to the board a little bit. Not too bad. Let's look at the other side. Yeah, not leaking. Okay. 625. Oh, fell out before I could even say the number on the back side. Yeah, so another 250 volt 10. So let's clean these off here. So as you see here, I don't do one at a time. There's no real reason to do them one at a time. You can clear out 2 or 3 or 4 at a time, and then come in and put in 2 or 3, 4 at a time. There's no reason to do it unless you are worried about putting the wrong one in the wrong spot or whatever. You know, if you get 4 of them out, you're like, oh crap, which one went where? I can understand that for sure, but so I tend to do just 2 at a time because you can't mix those up. You know, I took this one out first from there, and I took this one out second from there. So not too worried about 35 volt 1000. That's this guy here. We got positive here, negative there. I like to verbally say this out loud so I don't mix it up. 250 volt 10 is what we're going to need for that. And I believe that was one of these. Yes, 250 volt 10. Okay. And I can hear you saying, hey, you're yanking those out. You're going to pull the leads out of the cap. Well, no, because I'm holding on to the... I'll show you next time I pull one out here. You'll see what I'm doing. Okay, we're going to tack this one in place. Reach around, push down on the cap so it's flat on the board. And do the other leg. Okay. This one here, I had to bend the legs out when you push the cap down into place, so that's going to stay put without me having to reach around the backside there and hold it flat. There we go. So there's 2 more down. And joints look okay. Doesn't look like we created any bridges. There's a little blob there we're going to get rid of. Okay. And if I recall, there's several of these caps left over when we're done. Got a little crooked on that, but maybe not. Maybe I'm thinking of a different one. Sometimes there's a different, some chassis you work on will have variations, and some will have certain things populated, some won't. So you might end up with a couple of caps left over when you're done. Don't really fret that as long as you give it another good look over. Make sure you didn't miss any. You're okay. So now we're left with, I guess we'll do these 3 here. We'll start with C633. This should fall right out. Yeah, it must be, there it goes. Okay. That's gone. Now let's do, if you want, you take out, I'm gonna do all 3 of these here at one time. We're gonna take the top one we took out and put it up top. Then we'll take the second one out and put it down below that one, and so on and so forth. So that way it's a little bit harder to get them mixed up. Now, this one here falls right out. We'll stack that below that one. And then the third one is the smaller one, which is right here. And that should fall right out. This also helps prevent damaging the traces from trying to use the braid. A lot of people will try and use the braid of their desoldering station to get these out. And when they do that, they end up applying heat to the pad for too long, and it lifts the pads and traces and breaks and things like that. If you just put a bunch of solder on the 2 pads and go back and forth, the cap should fall right out. So that's an easier way to do that, in my opinion. Your mileage may vary, but that's how I do it. So now we know when we're in this position, we have top cap, middle cap, bottom cap. So the top cap, C633 is going to be 50 volt 2.2, and this is the bipolar cap. Is there a... Yeah, it's just this one, 50 volt 2.2. So we can put that in there. Then we have a 50 volt 220, which is going to be one of these. So what I do is I will hold on to the cap, and I'll hold on to the legs. And as I'm holding on to the legs, I pull on this, and they come right out. So I'm not pulling the legs. I'm not just ripping the cap out and pulling the legs out of the cap. I'm holding on to the cap legs with my hand, and I pull it out of the tape. It's just quicker and easier than trying to pull that tape off and cut them out. It's just a headache trying to do it that way. So I do it the way I just described it. So positive goes this way. That's correct. Need to fold these legs out slightly so it doesn't fall out on me. And then we have a 50 volt 1. There's only one of those left, and I believe it's here. Yep, so there we go. And then if there's any tape left on the legs, you can just kind of use your fingernail. Hold on to the same way like this. Use your fingernail and just kind of pull it off. There you go. That's all you have to do. I've done so many of these cap kits on so many monitors that it's just second nature by this time. So those are all incorrectly. Bipolar doesn't matter. There is one leg longer than the other, so I went and go ahead and put it in the positive side as it's labeled. But okay, that should be good here. So we're going to hit the 1 microfarad. Make sure it's flat on the board. We're going to hit the, what was this, the 220? Make sure it's flat on the board. Then we're going to hit this bipolar cap. Okay. So there's an example of 3 of them in it all at once. Drop that, don't want to lose that. And you don't have to do all these one at a time. It'd take you forever, especially like a 9200 or something. You can do more than one at a time. Those all look fine, okay. Mark that. And I think we only have 2 left. We've got C614 and C608. And 614 is bent over at an angle. Maybe it'll fall out. I'm not sure. Let's see. Yep, fell right out. And now 608, we'll just kind of pry this one, rock this one back out. There we go. And yeah, I mean, only really 1 cap. You know, for this being 45 years old or so, only 1 cap with a very slight amount of leakage, that's amazing. Probably why it was working. So we have 25 volt 33, which is the 63 volt 33, if I'm going to guess. Yep, there's that one. And let's see if, oh, you know what? It might help to clear out the holes. You lily liver galoot. You darn fool idiot. Oh, I did the other one. All right. So we can positive, negative this one. And we can, what was this one? There's my 47, which is this one. Sometimes there's not enough room for you to get your fingers in here and hold on to it, so you just kind of tear it out, and then you do the same thing where you hold on to them and then pull the tape off. And positive, negative. Prognosis negative. Oh my God, the dog guy. You better come get your dog tonight or he has humped his last leg. No one's going to get that either, but, you know, I say it. Maybe you'll get it, maybe you don't. Prediction. You'll be calling me to come see him before the month is out. Prediction. I never see you or your dog again for the rest of my life. He's probably off on a bender. What is a bender anyway? I don't know. They drink and they bend things. Okay, so that's correct, and that's correct. Oh, you got Farfel. Hey, I'm impressed that somebody got that. That's fantastic. I'm a big Seinfeld person. I used to go over to my friend's house every Thursday night when it was on TV. When we were in grade school and high school, we'd watch Seinfeld every Thursday night. I didn't care about Cheers. Cheers was on, I think, after that or something. I didn't care about Cheers, so because Seinfeld was actually funny. Did I say that? Oh, I guess I did. Okay, that's all the caps. I guess what we can do now is do some reflow. So I'm actually going to turn on the. Sorry if it gets loud. I'm going to turn on the extractor for this because we're going to be doing a lot of soldering here, and I don't want to breathe all the fumes in. The caps. I mean, we're all going to get cancer of some form, way, shape, or another. So, but I'd like to at least extend it as long as I can. So we're going to turn on the extractor here. And I'm just going to go through and reflow all these header pins and anything else on the board that I think needs it. Okay, that all seems okay here. All right, well, from what I can see, everything else is fine. Nothing overly brown or black or thin. Everything seems okay. So now it's going to be time to clean this up, and I'm going to be using some denatured alcohol because in my opinion it cleans better and cleaner than isopropyl. And I have a little applicator bottle here, and we're just going to kind of go over this in sections. Just like so. Make sure it's nice and clean. And we're just going to go over here with our rag and clean it up, and there you have it. It's just that easy. And you don't want to have any kind of air blowing on this, because what'll happen is it'll dry it prematurely, and you'll have like white streaks and stuff on here. And if I was a smart man, I would have started at the top and worked my way down, but I'm not a smart man. I am a dumb man, so I guess we're going to go ahead and start at the top. You know, when I was in the military, we used to wash our helicopters all the time. And rule number one was you start at the top and you work your way down. You would think that I would have picked up on that, but I'm not a smart man. But I know what alcohol is. And it doesn't need to be sparkling clean, but I think that's pretty good. Every so often you want to kind of clean your toothbrush or whatever it is you're doing this on, or using to do this. And it doesn't need to be a poetic masterpiece, just as long as it's clean, that's all you're looking for. And if you don't want to do this, you don't even have to. I mean, over time, the flux can become conductive, but not enough to where it's going to cause a problem. I've never seen, there's plenty of stuff out there with factory flux from 50 years ago that has no problem working. So people make a big deal about, oh, you got to clean the flux off, it'll turn conductive. Yeah, whatever. Whatever you say. But it's a good idea to at least clean it off. It's not perfect, but better than it was. So our main board is, I think, done, except for our cleaning of our header pins here. So let's grab we'll grab our fiberglass pin here, and we're going to clean off these oxidized pads. Not pads, traces, oxidized pins. Man, I'm over 3 on that. Pins. Jerry put a Pez dispenser on my leg. You still laughed. So, yeah, over time, these unused pins will get severely oxidized. And if I was a smart man, I would have done this before I put that cap in there, but it'll still be all right. And again, this pin is actual real fiberglass. They use these for spot sanding on cars and body shops. So you want to be careful because it's actual real fiberglass bristles you're putting out in the air and stuff. Degauss pins are good. Video interface header pins are good. Deflection pins are good. Now our horizontal or vertical jumper is good. Now we'll just do our horizontal position jumper. Nice and shiny there. Man, that's much better. Now we'll do the back side and around. Coming back to the middle and around again. I'm going to sand these pins again, 100%. Oxidation removed. And let's see, left pin is left, right is right, center is center. We'll just put it on center for now. And that finishes up our main board escapades here. So Yep, main board is complete. There are no caps on the neck board. It is a good idea, I guess, for us to remove the cardboard here and at least look at the solder joints, because sometimes the solder joints on the neck socket will crack. G07 is notorious, and the 4900 are notorious for that. Let's clean this off. Clean this off a bit and set my alcohol down. Wells Gardner got the tricks from the city of Compton to serve me. Yeah, that's not bad. That's good enough to put this right back on. And we could hypothetically have this entire chassis rebuilt, ready for testing in under an hour, because all we have left are the interface boards, and this one's already been recapped, so that 2 caps we don't need to change. So the person that owns this was having problems with trying to get this to sync, and they thought they had an interface card problem, and this was working, but it was not syncing. Horizontal hold was all messed up, and they were adjusting the horizontal hold on the card, and it wasn't syncing up. So they thought it might have been a problem with the card. You would not believe how many times people think there's a problem with the interface card, and it turns out to just be that oscillation pot. Well, I call it a secondary horizontal hold pot, but it's actually part of the oscillation circuit. So again, it's this thing right here, and it's something that you can actually turn. I have a whole separate video on it. If you have a situation with the 4600 where you can't get the horizontal hold to come in, you go left, all the way right, each hold is still messed up, you can take this thing and adjust it. Like, for instance, you put your screwdriver in here and go all the way left, all the way right, and it's just like a coil. You can go all the way right and then all the way left, and roughly about here, slightly, there's a slight gap there, pointing about 11 o'clock. That's about where you want it. And do I have another example of that? I had something I was going to show, but I think I forgot. But you get the general idea. Well, that pretty much finishes up our main board, and oh wow, glad I checked those out. Look at how oxidized these are. Those pins are black. Jeez. Wow. And just for comparison, we'll just clean off one of these, and you can see, maybe you can see how clean that one is compared to the ones next to it. Maybe you can, maybe you can't. I don't know. If you're not wearing your heart monitor, you don't know. Sorry, that's a Diamond Dallas Page reference for the yoga program that I do. DDP Yoga. If you are thinking of getting into a yoga program, I can't recommend DDP Yoga or DDPY enough. I'm down 55 pounds since March, so that combined with diet and exercise, it's a really good program. So let's clean these pins off as well. The pins, the sockets that go on here are 360, so you don't really need to clean off the whole thing. At least one side is good enough. All right, now that I've said this about 14 times, I think our main board is now done. We don't need to worry about our deflection, or I'm sorry, our video input board, with the exception of reflowing the pads, which looks like somebody has already done. Yep, but they didn't do these, so we'll hit these up. And in case you're late to the program or you're not familiar, like I was saying earlier, that the video input the video input board here, there are many different versions. As a matter of fact, I have a box here with many different extra cards. So here's one, here's one, here's one, here's one, here's one. I've got, how many of these? 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. And I don't know why this one says sync bad, because this one's not a sync. This one doesn't have sync. That's the other board. But you can see here how much difference there is between this one, for instance, and this one. This one has the 2 pots on the front. This one has no pots. It has 1 pot. This is your brightness pot. And it's on this side of the board. Then there's a version that has the brightness pot on the back side of the board. They relocate on the, I don't know why. It just turns the opposite direction, but that's factory. Some of those have that like that. So there's 2 versions of this same board. I don't think they have a revision number on them. I don't think so. Then I have another one where it's on the back side. Another one that's on the front. So there's multiple versions, and I got 2 more here. So these are all the same with the exception of the pot being on the other side. This one is the much more better one to have because it actually has a horizontal centering pot, whereas these older ones do not. So you have to adjust that jumper. And if the jumper doesn't get you what you need, you might be able to adjust H hold to shift the image, and otherwise, that's all you get. So that being said, we can set this aside after we mark this. And last but not least, I think for the sake of having this done in under an hour, where are we at? We're at 52 minutes. I think for the sake of trying to get this done in an hour, we'll just go with this one. So somebody has already recapped this one, and let's make sure the caps are correct. 313 appears to be a 47, and that's correct. 311, 35 volt 1000, that's correct. 311 is in effect. 362 is a 5010, that's correct. C59, 359 is a 4.7, that's correct. Whoa, no. 359 is supposed to be a 250 volt 4.7. And they've got a 50 volt in there, so let's change that out. That's why we check. That's why we check. You want to know why we check? That's why we check. Know that we have always been down, down. If I didn't check that cap right there, we might have had a big problem. And 250 volt, 4.7 right here. Positive this side, negative that way. Oh, come on. Come on. It's free. There we go. So there's that. All mixed up. Don't know what to do. Next thing you turn around and find the person is you. Keep me coming, that is the gal that I killed him stunning. Whoa. Keep me coming, that is the gal that I killed him stunning. Hey, you make me nervous, throat dry, my brain is empty. Don't know why, but I saw you doing something which was really truly nothing. If you can buzz me out all day. 50 volt 22, 410. Is that a 410? That's not a 410. That is 310. And that should be 5010. 5022. No, 5020. That's correct. Okay. C306 they've got in here is a 2.2. That's correct. Whatever this one is, 356 is a 4.7. That's correct. 315 they've got in here as a 5010. That's correct. So those, the rest of those are all right. Okay. If we look at this, it's common for this to be all black and brown and burned up, but that's actually a very light discoloration. And I'm not sure what's going on there. That's just an anchor point. Yep, fix that. And we'll go with this card when we assemble everything back together. And your vertical deflection ICs are here. They label this board quite nicely. If you weren't aware, the K4600 was basically a commercial television that they retrofitted to work for an arcade monitor. So you can see here they have this white line all around here, and this is all your vertical circuit. All of this is your vertical circuit, and all the stuff in here is your horizontal. So inside this white line is your horizontal, outside the white line is vertical, and that's your deflection board. What I was saying is that this was originally a commercial television that they retrofitted to work for an arcade monitor. You see how many components are depopulated? It's very, they took off all of the components and circuitry that was needed for the tuner and all that stuff. Hey, Nicholas, thanks for joining in. Yeah. All the way from Argentina, I thought I saw there. So yeah, they took all the circuitry off to, you know, see, it has a tint, subtint, color, subcolor. They actually put a big resistor in for subcolor and contrast in those spots. But yeah, if you weren't aware, this was a commercial television that they retrofitted to work for an arcade monitor. But that is it. We can start putting this back together. We're going to start with our regulator board here, and we can simply move all this stuff out the way. Move wire, get out the way. And make sure you align your pins, and then you get your black and white tabs in, push them down, push the tab down, and if you want to, you could probably put a zip tie back on there. And I mean, it's kind of smart. Might as well do it, I guess. But if I can recall how they had it in there, there's nothing else really for it to go on. Maybe they had it around the diode or that zip tie. This is going to take us over the hour mark trying to figure this out. We're already at 58 minutes. I've never put the I never put the zip tie back in before. Not sure if I really even need to. Like I say, it's not that critical. But it hadn't one in there originally, so I mean, why not? There's no reason not to. Keep my feet on the ground, keep my head in the clouds. Let's survive by the sound. Is that the right words? Comes from the down, down. All right, good enough, as they say. Let's check things over there. All right, so that's back in. Now it's time for our flyback, and this just connects here, like so. This connects to the neck board, like so, and we have our ground that has to screw onto here. There it is. Okay. We will solder this back on here. Okay. That should be good. Pop this back on. Preferably right side up. Got it. And we got to plug this onto, oh, that goes on our deflection board here, video board. Put this here. Right way around, please. Make sure your caps are out of the way. And we're going to go with this one. Got it. That smaller cap doesn't interfere like the original one did. We can reinstall our little card holder. Make sure it's sitting flat. Squeeze the tabs in. There we go. And we got to plug this into the back of our video card. There we go. The wires go onto this, like so. And I believe that's it. We've got our DAG wire here and our yoke wires here, and everything else is connected. You guys see anything I missed? I think that's it. So let's do a little cleanup here. And I'm going to save these and put these back in for another 4600. If I ever have to do a partial one or something, I'll have spare caps. Okay, set that aside for now. And what we need to do now is slide this back on and this back on. And we gotta grab our little metal plate wherever it went. Why don't I see it? Let's keep cleaning up here. Maybe it'll show itself. That little metal plate that I took off that goes right here, it has disappeared. I don't know where it is. I put it right up here with everything else, and somehow it is not here. It has completely disappeared. Is it stuck on one of these rags I was using? Nope. You see what happens when you go live? Things like this happen. Right here, I don't know if you could even see it, but right there is where I put everything, and it's not there. Where did it go? What happened to it? Well, your guess is as good as mine. We don't need it for testing and operation, but what in the world? Is it falling down here somewhere? Nope. It has left the chat, as the kids say these days. Your guess is as good as mine. I am dumbfounded. Is it stuck to this somehow? I don't see it anywhere. Dumbfounded. Dumbfounded, I say. Well, it'll show up here somewhere, I guess, but not necessary. So we are ready to test this. We're going to use the bench check method here, where we don't need to use a picture tube. I just want to make sure it fires up and doesn't blow up and all that jazz, because putting this thing on and off the tube is a nightmare. Well, not anywhere near as much a nightmare as a Polo or a 20EZ or anything, but okay. We need our light bulb, and I think we connect the light bulb to the blue wire of this resistor here. It's been a long time since I've done this. We'll go to ground, make sure that that's ground. I haven't done a 4600 in a long time, so let's go to continuity mode. We don't think we need the WIT coil we might need the width coil installed. Oh, you know what? Look what I found. Some of you might have been screaming at the camera there, or at the camera, the whatever you're watching this on the screen. I thought I put it over here, but I actually put it on the panel here. So, okay, before we get too far, let's put this back on here. I think we're going to need the horizontal width coil in the circuit. I don't want to fire this up and find out that I didn't put that back in there, but first let's screw this back on. I hope to have this work. And I was also wanting to have this be about an hour, but a little over's fine. We're only 6 minutes over. Looks like we got 38 viewers. I appreciate you guys tuning in. If I didn't answer your questions or anything like that, you can feel free to talk amongst yourselves. But like I say, I'm not a professional streamer. I don't have a rig for it. It's just an iPhone on the overhead, and I'm not able to actively monitor comments and chat and stuff. So if I didn't answer your question, I will go through the comments once the video is uploaded and answer you to the best of my ability. All right. So now let's get these width wires on here, and like I say, polarity doesn't matter. It's just a coil of wire, so there's no positive or negative. And I'm going to tack that in there. I'm going to come back here with some more solder here. Dang it. And again, remember, this is a plastic thing here, so don't hold the iron on there too long, or you will cause it to kind of buckle, and then it'll be all loose, and you don't want that. So you don't want to make it loose. Make it loose. You're gonna make it real loose. There's no way at all. Okay, where is ground? Is this ground? No, that was dumb. I don't know why I did that. Need to find, actually we can go to this ground. Yes, okay. So I'm pretty sure that we hook up to this blue wire. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure because it comes off the regulator on the side here. So with that being said, we have our, with the horizontal output transistor in the circuit, we're going to have high voltage generation. But like I say every time I do this, the high voltage generation is minimal. Instead of being like 25,000 volts, it's like 1,000 volts, which is still enough to give you quite a shock. But it's not full 30,000 volts or whatever, 25. So that's why you put the anode in the jar. It will keep you protected without you having, as long as you don't stick your fingers in the hole or in the jar, it's not going to jump out at you. That's the purpose of having the jar there, kind of like an insulator. All right, so I have my power connected. I'll put this on in a minute. You know what? I'll keep you waiting here. I'll make you wait. Now, if I can remember just how to do this here, I think it's this way. Oh, there we go, that way. We'll start this here. All righty. Now, enough anticipation. This should turn on, and we should get a light bulb. And as a matter of fact, I'm not really sure what even the B plus is supposed to read, but like I say, I've never had to adjust B plus ever on a 4600. But just for the sake of completeness, actually we could just probably put that in there. We'll go ahead and measure it and see what it reads so we can all share the knowledge together. Voltage DC. All right, are we ready here? I think we're ready. Cross your fingers, hope nothing blows up, and hopefully a light bulb turns on. Let's find out. 1, 2, 3. And so far so good, 123 volts. I think that's probably good. And so far nothing has exploded. And like I say, our horizontal drive is working right now. So yeah, I think we're good. So let's kill it. The B plus has, with the light bulb being hooked up to the B plus circuit, our filter cap should have been de-energized. So we don't got to worry about manually discharging that. If we were to disconnect our light bulb and then turn it back on without the load on the circuit, the light bulb will, or the filter cap will get charged up and you have to manually discharge it. This came out of a Gorf, which you'll see here shortly. I'll show you the picture tube and you'll see it's got the Gorf, the little shield. If you've played Gorf, you know, the guy goes around on the bottom and shoots through the shield. There's like a half moon arc and there's a shield there and you'll see that in the picture tube. So I haven't figured the logistics out yet of trying to show you the tube and take you off the overhead and stuff, but we'll figure that out when we get there. For now, we have a functional chassis, at least on the bench. Oh, I don't know why I'm doing that. I need to keep that hooked up. So this should work. Everything's connected and hooked up and reflowed, and we got B plus. I do need to strip this because the person that took this out just cut the wire. Hope they don't forget to hook that back up, the DAG ground, when they go to hook this back up. So this is all back together. So now, here is El Tube. And we can hook this up on El Tube. One fold sleevey, two fold sleevey, presto! I guarantee no one gets that reference. There was a very fat pair of pants hanging on the flagpole this morning. That might give it away. Okay. Somebody has very rudely removed the bottom screw on this, but maybe I can put this, because when this was given to me, it was already off the tube, so we'll just tighten up this top one here. All right, so let's connect our, well, this is odd. The other end of this didn't have a, this is just a, well, we'll use a clip lead for that. All right, so we plug that in. We plug in our DAG, and if you're unfamiliar with how this works, you can witness here. You just take, you hook in, I don't know, I usually take these things off. They're kind of a nuisance, and they don't really provide any extra purpose in my opinion, but you hook one in and you push it to the right and you hook the other in and make sure it's in there, and that's all you have to do. So there's one. Oh, there's both of them. I can see both of them in there and on, and that's good. Now we got to do the yoke. Now the yoke on the 4600 doesn't have a connection. You have to physically put these on here, and you got, let's see, yellow is here, and you want to make sure you actually get these clipped in there. It doesn't, don't just wedge the little thing between the rubber and the socket. You want to actually get it in, make sure it's in the socket. There should be resistance when you connect it. There's that, and then here is red. Make sure it's on there. Not on there all the way. There it is. And blue. And there we go. And except for the DAG here, which we'll grab a negative lead. Clip onto here, clip onto here. I believe that's it. We have our anode, neck, yoke, ground. There's no remote board. We have power, anode, neck, yoke, ground, power, video remote. So anode, neck, yoke, ground. Hook up power. There's no remote board. We just need video. So let's hook up our power here. I don't have the right connector, so I'm doing this jury rig type of thing here. You can see that I use alligator clips for the power here, and it works just fine. And I have Mortal Kombat 2 hooked up like I always do, and we're going to hook up the video here, which I failed to showcase. And it goes like so. Oh, we didn't hook up our DAG, or not DAG, I'm sorry. Our DGAUs. They both start with D, you know. We're all getting old. So that should be it. Now it's time to show the face of El Tube here. Let's see if I can functionally remove you. Hey, look at that. So on El Tube here, you can see that there is this arc, some serious gorf. This is gorf. So high score, game over. There's that shield that gorf shoots. So it's a gorf tube. And that's really all you need to know. So also there's two screws that secure this onto the frame, but the screws aren't there. Like that bottom screw is missing too. So the person I got this from is going to have to, oh, it even says right here, Gorf. Beckett. Oh, don't look at those phone numbers. I can't blur those out. Okay. MK2 is plugged in. We're all connected. I'm going to turn the fan off in case something blows up. We will see where the smoke's coming from, but it should work. Alrighty, so here we go. 1, 2, 3. Well, there's a high-pitched noise. That's the horizontal oscillation making that noise. See? This is what it was doing beforehand, and we had to adjust that oscillation. But first I'm going to adjust the horizontal hold here on the bottom pot on the video card. Okay, that's all the way counterclockwise. You can hear that tone changing as I do this. And that's all the way clockwise. I'll put it somewhere near the middle. And now we're going to have to reach through this hole here. There is a hole right there. When you put your screwdriver through that hole, it's turning this oscillation pot. And that should lock this in. So do this at your own peril. And we are in there. I'm going to turn that pot. Oh, I went too far. We'll turn it off. It went into protection mode there, and it just shut off. Okay. Now I'm going to turn it back on. And see, it comes back on. So now I'm going to have to go the other way here. Oh, I went the wrong way again. I turn left. Turn to the left. I turn to the right again. And it just shut off. So some of these actually have protection circuit that if you turn the horizontal hold too far one way or the other, it shuts off. This is one of those models. So very ahead of its time here. All right, let's go the other way here. And there we go. Nice. Okay, vertical hold is the long black knob here. And voila. Okay. We need to turn our brightness pot all the way down, and that's the one on our video board here, the top one. You can't see it, but there's those two pots here. The top one, I believe, is the brightness. Yep, so we'll turn that all the way down. That's as far down as it goes. Now we got to turn our screen pot down, and that's this one here. It's on the neck board on the 4600. You can see there it says screen. So we can turn this down, and that should get rid of our raster lines. There we go. I'm going to turn the overhead light out. There we go. And now we can supplement with our brightness pot again. That pot, again, is right there. This bottom one here, that's the pot that I'm turning. It's hard to do this live. This bottom pot here is the one I'm turning. The top one is your horizontal position. So, oh, okay. So I'm going to turn this. Oh, nope, it's the top one. I'm turning the wrong one. It's the top knob is the brightness. Hey, that's looking pretty good. The top one's brightness, the bottom one. Hey, and before when I was working on this, the sides were bowed in rather severely, so we had bad caps. You can see how this is way too blue, and all the color pots are dead center. So I'm wondering if this tube has some high hours on it. If it does, maybe we'll go ahead and do a rejuvenation. But let's go ahead and adjust the blue down here on the turn the blue down on the neck board, and we'll turn it down till it's not blue anymore. Turn our green up slightly, red up slightly. And, well, that's not bad. No, that's not bad. Okay, no rejuvenation this time. Just blue was a little bit stronger on this than the other guns, but I dare say we are in business. They turn red up. The red, you need to turn up the red drive. The red drive is on this side. Yeah, that's not looking bad at all. So we need to, yeah, it's centered and everything. Let's grab our horizontal width coil adjustment tool. I got a whole bunch of stuff here with adjustment tool there, and we can, oh Lord, try to adjust this here. It's going to be rather precarious. You know, you want to be careful when you're actually running a monitor here, but you know, I'm going to turn this off. I'm going to turn this off, and I'm going to get my tool in here first. And then make sure this actually moves. Yes, it does. Okay. Now turn this back on. And we'll wait for this to come back to life here. There it is. Now I'm going to adjust the horizontal size. That looks really good for having that burn on it. The 4600 is a hell of a monitor. When this is working and looking great and adjusted properly, it's a hell of a monitor. This thing has severe burn on it, and even with that, it still looks great. So now I'm going to reach in here rather precariously. Make sure you don't touch that HOT. There's an HOT right here, uncovered. And if you touch that right there, you're not going to be enjoying life very much. So do this at your own peril. So now I'm going to adjust this and other way here. And it's certainly working. We'll go right about there. I'm going to extricate my little tool here. Don't take that the wrong way. And we have a fantastic, needs a little bit of degaussing here in the top. If I go to the menu here and diagnostic test, monitor patterns, let's just do blue screen. Now let's go back to red. Yeah, see that little bit right here. And we can manually do that with a speaker. Don't ever do it this way because you can damage the shadow mask if you have too strong of a magnet. But I have actual speaker here. We're just going to kind of wipe this. There you go. Gone. You just take it and kind of wand it. You know, you have different polarity. So if this doesn't work, turn it around and do it this way. Try it. You know, different polarity causes it to go green or blue or whatnot. But you saw there, that was all it takes. And now we have no more. It looks like it in camera, but in person it's good. We can escape out of here, go back to this, go down to here, and man, I'm kind of jealous that this isn't my monitor now. So, yeah, fantastic. So, well, I mean, I guess that's about it. We have successfully, one more thing. So if you look here, the top of the screen is kind of curved that way. That's horizontal hold. Let me go back in the menu. And, well, each game is different. I guarantee you'll have to readjust all this all over again when it gets this back into Gorf, or whatever it's going into. I think it was Wizard of War. He said he wants to put this in. But diagnostic tests, monitor patterns, crosshatch is what we're looking for. And yeah, see the top of the screen is curved that way. We just need to go to that bottom horizontal hold pot on our deflection board, and we can adjust that out. I'm going to turn it here, and you should see it come back. There you go. Well, maybe so there it curves, and we get a little bit of there's a little bit of convergence issues, but not too bad. And then it should straighten itself back out when I move it to the right. And there you go. Now it's much less pronounced. There's a little bit of linearity here. You see how wide these boxes are compared to how the middle ones are squished. But, you know, of course, adjusting H-hold moved it back this way. So now we got to take that horizontal centering pot and move it back the other way again. And roughly, I know you can't see the whole screen, but roughly there, that's pretty good. So now that it's adjusted, I mean, you could throw this into a MK2 conversion with a 19-inch monitor and not skip a beat. This looks fantastic in person. I can't believe it. You got the blue background there with the black right there. That's what you want on a healthy tube. That's why I use MK2, because I know exactly what it's supposed to look like. When the background of the screen is black, like that, that midway presents, you want to have a hint of blue back there. So if I reset the game again, or just go back in the menu, you can clearly see the background is black. Well, not quite. The camera makes it look a little bit lighter than it is, but if I go down here, the background should be black, and then when the midway presents comes up, it should be a little bit blue in the background and go back to being black. So there's a black background, a little bit of blue, back to black. That's exactly what it's supposed to be. And if we let this play out a little bit, when it has the MK2, the Dragon logo with the Mortal Kombat 2, the background should be slightly brown. If you're missing that slightly brown, then your tube is a little bit weak, or you need to adjust your colors better. So, yeah, blackground. Hey, that's a good, I'm going to steal that. Blackground is a good phrase. I'm going to steal that one. Shamelessly steal. I got off of work and went right to this, so you can see my white undershirt hanging out here. Sorry about that, but there you go. Dun, 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 dun. So here we go. The background should be a little bit of brown here. Hey, fantastic. Perfect. Well, I think that pretty much ends this. I'll let this run for a while, make sure nothing blows up, because it's not mine. And assuming everything is fine, that'll be about it. So I think we had a little bit of stumbling there at the beginning with the orientation. If you were here since the beginning of this live stream, I had the orientation wrong on the first attempt, and I had to start the live stream over again with the correct orientation. But a little bit of stumbling blocks there at the beginning. That red looks great now. This whole monitor looks fantastic. I can't believe how good this looks. So vibrant and clear. With having that burn on there, this is amazing. So, man. Hour and what? We're an hour and a half. I think that's not too bad. 90 minutes. That's not too bad for something like this. So full, complete 4600 rebuild and testing and everything in about 90 minutes. Not too bad. So thanks very much for watching. And, I'll get this uploaded. And I don't even know what Super Chats is. I don't have Patreon. I don't do Discord. I'm too old for any of that stuff. If you guys want to educate me in the comments, I'll look into it. But yeah, if I didn't read your comment, or you have a question and I didn't get to it or read it or whatever, this will be uploaded, and I'll read your comments there and respond to the best of my ability. So stay tuned for that. If I didn't get to it on the live stream, I apologize, but I'll get to it when it's uploaded. And otherwise, yeah, thanks for watching. Hopefully you learned something. Like I always say, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And if you like this, maybe I'll do some more live streams in the future. So thanks very much.